We are live from LA to BK. How we doing? What's up, Paulie? Where are
What's
you?
going on, guys?
Hey.
We're here out east, baby.
Hey.
Out east. What's going on?
Hey, we wanted to start off the show. Do you watch the NFL still? Like,
I used to watch more of it. I used to watch more.
Is it because the Giants and Jets both suck?
No, the Giants and Jets stuck through most of the '90s. I still watched it at that time. I just got tired of it. Why? What's going on with the NFL?
Well, do you know that the Jets quarterback Zach Wilson,
The Mormon Mahomes.
What about him?
did you hear what happened over the weekend?
What happened?
No,
what happened?
Okay, awesome. Break it down.
Paul, it's a pretty crazy story, man. So we have
Yeah,
Zach
I
Wilson.
gotta hear it.
Zach Wilson, who's just coming off his rookie season. His best friend in college is dating now his ex.
His ex-girlfriend.
His ex-girlfriend. Not sure if that happened while they were still dating or whatever, but what happened was Zach Wilson took offense to that.
No, she posted on Instagram a pic of them.
Okay.
Yeah, she posted a pic and somebody commented "homie hopper."
Yeah.
And then she commented what, Pasta? She commented that he was sleeping with his mom.
Yeah, so she spilled the tea that Zach Wilson is now banging his mom's best friend like an absolute boy. So basically we have some drama going on in the NFL. And he just came back from camp with his friends and posted on Instagram. He goes, been in Idaho with the boys, bad cell service. Did I miss something? Because he was trending for a while, being an absolute beast. He's got that dog in him, Paulie.
And we were wondering, is that so? It's his second.
That sounds like some TMZ stuff going on.
Yeah,
in the NFL,
absolutely, man.
Is that New
This
York?
is the kind of stuff that winds up selling more than the games these days, man.
No doubt about it.
Is that in New York? Is that the New York getting to him, or you think that was just in him? I don't know if you know about Zach Wilson. He's from BYU, like really clean cut kid.
Yeah. Brigham Young is a pretty clean cut school. Didn't Steve Young go to Brigham Young, or was he related to Brigham Young or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah. They call him the Mormon Mahomes.
Yeah. So he looks like a super villain, or like the villain in a high school movie.
Facts.
Like the quarterback that's a total douchebag.
Wilson does?
Yeah, Zach
Really?
Wilson. Yeah, that's
he
what he looks like.
He embodies that.
I don't know. Listen, I don't think I really don't think that friends should be dating their friends' exes. That's for sure. I just think that gets a little awkward. That can be a little bit awkward. You know. Do they have kids together?
No,
that makes it more awkward.
No. It's just funny because he has a thing for MILFs, like because he was banging his friend's mom. That's like the story that came out of it.
He's banging his friend's mom. He's banging his friend's mom, but
his mom's friend. Mom's friend.
But his ex is banging now his ex best friend.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're
So,
still
and they're
friends.
not-
You might not care.
I assume they'd not be friends, but who knows? I don't know what kind of thing they got going on over there. You know.
Hey, they're Mormon. Nobody knows what the fuck they got going on over there.
We're gonna say, what borough do you think he lives
Is
in?
he?
He's like half and half, right?
No, he's Mormon.
Yeah, but he's like,
Bro, what do you mean?
Oh, so he's like
he's Mormon.
He went to BYU. He went to BYU and he's Mormon.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's like, oh, okay.
No,
So
but he
he's
hasn't gone on his like mission.
His pilgrimage.
but they can have like several wives. No, they can.
That's
They can kind of
a
do that.
joke that he has multiple MILFs.
Yeah. So multiple milfs. Eminem.
So, will you be rooting for the Jets because of this story? And what borough do you think Zach Wilson lives in because of this story?
Most of these athletes, I don't even think live in any of the boroughs. A lot of them live in Jersey, and especially that the football players play in Jersey to begin with, because MetLife Stadium is in Jersey. I'm gonna go with the unconventional answer that he lives in none of the boroughs, and he probably lives in Jersey.
That's what I was saying.
That's
I
what
was
I'm
saying
gonna-
he probably
that's
lives
what
up
I'm
in
gonna
like
go with.
Basking Ridge or something like that in Jersey. Just
Yeah.
living up
I'm
the way.
gonna probably shoot that. I'm gonna shoot with that answer. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the confirmation would be, but I'm going with that one.
All right. Well, that
It's a lot
was
of-
our.
I told you, the NFL is not what it used to be when I used to watch. I tell you that. I don't know.
I mean, I think
pretty wild.
that they still like do this. I don't know. The stories are always hilarious. There's always something.
Yeah, but that's his
Yeah.
point, though. His point, though, is that the stories have become more than the game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Listen, the Jets always had some internal problems. The Jets just couldn't get it right ever in my life. They had a couple of decent seasons, but they just barely could get it right. But But I mean, I don't know. I feel like unless it was like crazy stuff. Like I remember when Ray Caruth shot his baby mother, and went to jail.
Wait, what?
She was pregnant. Ray Caruth was a Carolina Panthers wide receiver, and he shot his
that was a
pregnant.
thing.
I didn't know that
He
was a
shot.
thing.
He shot his pregnant side piece and killed her,
Damn.
and the baby survived. Yeah, and the baby survived, and
The baby survived.
I mean he went to jail for like he went. Yeah, the baby survived, but he got brain damage,
Oh.
and now the kid is like. I mean, Ray Caruth did like almost 2 decades in jail, and he got out a few years back, and he met the kid. The kid was like 16 at the time. Like I don't. That's basically the personalized stories that I remember. Nobody was dealing with girlfriends and milfs and all that other stuff. Like the only time it got personal is if something like crazy happened. Otherwise, I don't really remember back then things like that being talked about. I don't remember a lot of that.
I mean, it's social
I can
media.
remember.
Yeah.
It's social media. That's what we're kind of wanting
Yeah,
to
it's
segue
social
into
media.
with Ryan Garcia is like we want to ask you like
Yeah.
if you had social media during your era, like how do you think that would have affected your career?
I mean, I think there was social media in the second half of my career. I don't know. I mean, I guess you know what it is, man. I think when the social media came out in the second half of my career, really, right? And I think
You're
like
a king.
people still had to kind of adjust to how to use it. There still wasn't like a proper way to knowing how to use it yet because it just came out and it was this new thing. And now you have guys who actually know how to make a living off social media and know how to brand themselves and know how to use it as a branding mechanism, and of course that's a positive. A negative is that these TMZ type of stories just go viral like crazy, But I think when the social media came out and I'm at the point in my career when I was at, it was already the second half of my career. I think people were still kind of getting their feet, stepping in it, and kind of walking on the eggshells and trying to figure out where they fit and where social media fits into the greater landscape of things. There wasn't really the understanding yet that you could be a YouTuber or you could be an Instagrammer or whatever they call it now, a TikToker or whatever or whatever. But I mean, listen, I think there's pros and cons to it for sure. I mean, you see guys making a ton of money with it, and they're like Ryan Garcia. And even guys like Jake Paul and whatnot, but then you see the negative. You see the side of I guess this. I mean, I don't even know why this is a story, but apparently, I guess if it's viral, I guess it's a story. I mean,
Are you talking about
Sex
Zach-
sells,
I mean,
Paulie.
the-
Sex
yeah.
sells. Always has.
the NFL law started to lose me when they changed the rules, and I know it's taboo because a lot of guys got damaged back then, but the NFL started to lose me when they had the bounty, the bounty. When there was money on Brett Favre's head, and one of those stool pigeons, rats on the Saints secondary, decided to. I think he got released or something, and he ratted out the defensive coordinator that basically there had been a bounty on
Greg
Favre's head
Williams was the defensive
to get him out of the
coordinator.
head. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know who the pussy that ratted him out was, but that started a whole like snowball effect because I can remember being in high school and the football players telling me that the coaches would like reward them if they can knock the quarterback out of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can knock the star play. So like,
Even
this is
me in high school, Paulie. I'm 24 years old. That's absolutely a thing still.
Oh, so
They're
you were in high school after you were in high school after the bounty. So you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember, like, that was, like, a normal thing. I can remember when a quarterback would throw an interception and he'd run for the sidelines because he becomes, it's a free hit on the quarterback because you get to hit him for free because you got to technically, quote-unquote, block him, too. Everybody has to get blocked. So when the quarterback threw an interception, he would sprint towards the sidelines just to not get leveled because it was considered a free hit on the quarterback. Today, it's unsportsmanlike conduct, 15-yard penalty, guys go up in arms. I mean, it's just... I don't know, man. For me, and I guess we're gonna make this sort of an NFL conversation today. But for me, if you would have made the steroid testing really, really strict in the NFL, always instead of letting them get away with it like crazy, you wouldn't have needed to change the rules because you wouldn't have 400-pound locomotives running 4.640s. You know what I'm saying? So that when they hit you, it's like an Amtrak train hitting you. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't have that. Like I'm from New York. Frank Gifford was a Hall of Fame New York Giants player who played in the 50s. He lived till his 80s, bro. He was a running back. You know what I mean? Or I believe he was a running back. You know what I mean? He lived into his 80s. Bro.
Instead, you should just
and those
have
guys didn't even play with
Lawrence
that many.
Taylor. smoking crack.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is those guys didn't even wear pads. There was barely a face covering on the helmet. Like that guy lived into his 80s, bro. Why? Because guys weren't taking all these substances. They were hitting each other like there was no rules on how you could hit them. You could still level each other, but when you're not taking all these substances, you're not gonna level each other as hard as you could. And then then in the 80s you had LTs. LT was on different kind of substances, but that's another story.
Change the league's doping policy. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. LT was not performance enhancing. LT was recreational.
Oh, so the Mets. I mean the same with the Mets, right?
Oh man, you guys. Okay, yeah, you guys are probably too young, but did you guys at least see the Once Upon a Time in Queens documentary on 30 for 30 about the '86 Mets?
You're telling us about it,
yeah.
And then you're Lenny
Oh
Dykstra.
yeah, you got to see that.
I mean, Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah. Yes, Lenny Dykstra story in the strip club. Yes, that was a personal story that we're not gonna.
We're not gonna go over Lenny Dykstra.
Isn't there one guy from that team still making?
Oh yeah.
No, Lenny Dykstra is broke, dude.
Lenny Dykstra is broke. No, you're thinking of that dude who just got paid in July.
Yeah, that one guy who still gets paid like $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Bobby Bonilla. He wasn't even on the '86 Mets. That was part of the downfall of the Mets after the '86 team, where they just became the Jets, the New York Rangers, where like they just pick up like guys Hall of Famers on the verge of retirement, and it's going to sell a bunch of tickets, and they're actually never going to win again. That's what they end up doing. You know what I mean? And Bonilla was actually one of those kind of guys. Where Bonilla and Bonds used to play together on the Pirates, and they had a very good team. And then the Pirates couldn't afford to keep both of them, and Bonds left to San Francisco, and Bonilla went to the Mets.
I mean, he's still getting paid till 2035. All right.
Yeah, and the Mets gave him a ridiculous contract where he gets $1 million a year for like the next 30 years.
Would you do that in boxing for a fight?
He did nothing. I mean, I don't think so. I think the money mentality that Mayweather has, I think it works. I guess now these exhibitions are sort of the thing, bro. Bro, speaking of which, did Mayweather say he's gonna fight again? I got a text that he said he's gonna box again.
He said he's got 2 to 3 scheduled, and 1 might be sanctioned. That's what I saw.
Yes, that's probably the McGregor one. That's probably because didn't he offer McGregor some money for a rematch?
Rematch?
Yeah.
We saw that.
I saw the McGregor thing.
I mean, that's probably that's the only sanctioned one I could see him taking, because it's like it's a short thing, and at this point he's not going to risk anything, other than a short thing in a sanctioned fight anyway.
All right, well,
I love McGregor though. McGregor's just down to be the punching bag every time. I mean, now he's going to go into in boxing too, and he's just down with it. He's like, all right, whatever, bro. Oh, you know what's funny? I heard a quote today. It was really, really interesting. It was it used to be that fame was a byproduct of your success.
Yeah.
But now fame is the ultimate goal. Yeah. And when you have fame being the ultimate goal, you have people will do anything for it, including being cutthroat, being dishonest, giving blowjobs and things of that nature too, unfortunately. But can we say that? But like nonetheless, being famous, not to say that McGregor is doing that, but he's certainly, he's certainly measuring his fame not by his success, or his fame is not measured by his success, at least. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different generation.
For sure.
I mean, we got a 2-year run that's going to make you famous for life. I mean, that's pretty low. That's pretty low standards, if you ask me. But other than that, I mean, yeah, your fame used to be a byproduct of your success. Success was the goal, and now it's just fame. It's weird. It's another thing. It's one of those other things that kind of changed and made things weird, because then people get weird trying to chase fame, because they're not actually trying to be successful. They're trying to be famous.
I mean, so do you think that? I mean, I asked you, but like, if social media was the way it is right now in your career, do you think you would have bought into it maybe a bit, or like it may have shifted your choices in fights? Or
I don't know, because like my goal was I want to be the best. Like I wanted to be the best. I wanted to chase the best. I wanted to fight the best. That was my goal. I wanted to fight all the tough fights. I didn't want to retire and wonder like what would have happened if I would have fought that guy or that guy. I wanted my answers. And even sometimes to my own detriment. I just wanted to chase that. I wanted to test myself. I don't know. I was raised in a different generation. I think now giving the perception of fame, giving the perception of success instead of the real success has become more important. And I think that's due to social media. I don't know if I would have grown up in this generation, if that would have affected my mindset, but I can certainly see that mentality now.
I mean, imagine if I was
With
following
McGregor,
you.
like I said, they measure his success by the money he makes, as if they benefit, as if his fans benefit from the money he makes. Like, you measure a guy's success by whether he gets his ass whooped or not. Whether he can kick anybody's ass at this point. And they don't. They measure it by the amount of money he's making. Like I said, as if they're getting a cut of the money or something like that. That's not how you measure somebody's success. Like, that's called, like, you're kind of prostituting yourself, just to make a couple of bucks. But even on a different scale, on a more prime scale, somebody like Gervonta Davis is constantly selling us pay-per-views against opponents that we never hear of until he fights them. You know what I'm saying? And then we find out, and then we learn who those guys are. Before he fights them, we don't even know who they are. And so, yet he's selling us pay-per-views. So again, you're giving a perception of success, but is it success because you're making money? I mean, is success only measured by money? I guess in this generation, success is only measured by money. And if that's the case, then you're successful.
And clicks.
Yeah, I mean, but clicks are there. Clicks are there because of the money, right? Or the money generates, or even the money generates the clicks a lot of times, because when you have money, people are curious and they go and they click. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess the standard for success has kind of changed, and so if you change the definition of it, I mean, is it technically not success? Is it technically not that? I mean, I don't know. I guess that's becomes an opinion. But then again, you have to ask yourself, is it an opinion or is it a fact? It's like you can just start overlapping yourself and then really confuse yourself going down that rabbit hole.
Do you feel the same way about Ryan Garcia then, in terms of his social media impact and his fame versus success?
Yeah, I do. I kind of do. I kind of do, because he's got some ability, but we can't ever really see how much it's going to be valued at, because it's only valued in terms of numbers and money, as opposed to in terms of testing himself against the other elite level fighters, and so they kind of just stay on their own island and don't fight each other. For the most part, some of these guys, not all of them. I mean, I thought Teofimo Lopez had a pretty tough schedule until he lost to Kambosos, and that's what I'm saying. And then Teofimo Lopez, who had probably the hardest schedule, and Lomachenko, who had the hardest schedule, they're the ones that take the L's and then they wind up getting criticized. But the guys who protect the O's and fight nobody give you the perception of success, and they get more credit. They actually give you more credit. So are we? If you have a generation that's that stupid, a population that's that stupid, I guess you can just play on it. I mean, McGregor is actually the key holder to that kind of model, right? So I mean, I think you see that, and then you just kind of go with it every time. Although with McGregor, he's actually so successful in that regard that he doesn't even have to win anymore. At least those guys are giving a perception of winning by fighting less than stellar opposition and winning. McGregor can fight anybody; he doesn't have to win, and he still keeps that success. So I think that actually measures a higher level of quote unquote success of this generation.
Do you think? But do you credit Floyd with that? With creating that idea of money?
No. I mean, listen. People say Floyd picked and chose his opponents. Everybody kind of picks and chooses their opponents to a degree, except, like, I don't know. I feel like Muhammad Ali didn't do that. Muhammad Ali literally fought everybody at any given time, at any given point. But I feel like everybody else, to a degree, will just even Mike Tyson in his prime would have done that. He just didn't have a lot of future Hall of Famers in his generation, in his early career generation. But I feel like Mike Tyson would have fought everybody, and he kind of did fight everybody that he came across. But now with Floyd, I mean, you kind of pick the spots, but he also fought a lot of very good opposition. So you can't say he just totally picked the spots. When you're going up the weight classes, you kind of got to be smart about that. It's not like the heavyweight division where you just got guys around and you just fight them all and that's it. And you're going up in weight classes, you kind of have to start. You can't just go up. The weight classes exist for a reason. So if you're going to go up the weight classes, you kind of have to play chess outside of the ring too. But all things considered, Floyd fought a lot of very good fighters on his way up the ladder. So I mean, on his way up the weight class ladder too. So yeah. I can't really. I don't criticize it as much as some people do. Because again, I mean, he beat a lot of future Hall of Famers. He beat a lot of good fighters,
And so with this Garcia fight, which this episode's about, I mean, we're previewing this guy who's fought. It seems like, what relationship do you see between Tago and Fortuna? Do they fight? I know Fortuna's a southpaw, but they're kind of same height, kind of same age. Garcia's big.
I think Fortuna has had some more success at a higher level. Tago came in with a good reputation out of Africa. I heard good things about him, but he kind of been unproven, and he showed nothing in the Garcia fight except just wanting to go the distance. Never tried to win the fight. I think Fortuna can at times do that where he'll he'll kind of half-ass it, but I feel like he could have got up. I feel like it was in what was the fight where he ended up becoming a no contest.
When he
He
fought the
fought
ring.
yeah, he
fought the ring,
fought in Dallas.
He's
I worked the
4-1
fight.
since then. He's actually his only
Yeah,
loss
yeah.
is to JoJo.
But I'm
That was in
saying
2018.
Fortuna makes your life a little bit difficult. Like he'll make your life a little bit difficult, but I don't think he's of that level either. I mean, his best weight is 130 pounds. Um, listen, he's a solid opponent that brings something on the table paper wise, like on paper. But a guy like Garcia is supposed to beat him. Just if you're gonna fight once a year. Or then these are the kind of guys you're only going to be able to fight. So hopefully he stays busy. He fought Tago, now he's going to fight Fortuna. After this, we're going to need a bigger name. They've been talking about Tank and Ryan Garcia, but I highly doubt we're going to see that fight. I just cannot. I can't get myself to believe that.
How would so actually I talked to Jacob De La Hoya back in April right before he fought Tago, and I asked him, I saw him somewhere. I said and I asked him, like, is Ryan actually back? And he said, yeah. And I mean, he's fighting for the second time in since April? That was only like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So I guess
yeah.
he is back, and I feel like maybe the confidence is there, and maybe that could lead to a Tank fight. But if you're Oscar, Paulie, are you giving him the Tank, or is that? I mean, do you give him that fight?
I don't know. I wonder if I'm Oscar, I'm starting to wonder if this guy really wants to fight. So you may as well take a chance on him now, because if he was a regular prospect who was a high level and he was selling a lot, maybe you take your time going to the Tank fight because he's a sure thing and you're going to kind of use him. But because you don't know where he's going to go next, you know what I'm saying? Like if he's going to box, if he's going to do a commercial, if he's going to be an astronaut, if he's going to become a model, if he's going to become an actor, if he's going to become, if he's going to, you don't know what he's going to do next. You may be inclined, if you have him under contract, to push him a little faster and get something out of him before the time just runs out, or you just lose him to another avenue of success that he might have, and he might just kind of abandon boxing. So I think if I'm Oscar, I kind of do push the big money, the big fight, the big risk fight now. I mean, Ryan has the ability to fight it. Now he's busy 2 fights in a row. I kind of do push it. I'll be honest, man. If this fight doesn't get made, I mean, I still can't say it's one guy's fault or the other guy's fault, because honestly, who is Tank Davis' fault as well? You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, the only difference with Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia is that Tank Davis fights a little bit more often, but ultimately, we don't know the guys he's fighting either. We don't know who they are either. You know what I'm saying? Listen, at the end of the day, Pitbull Cruz wound up being a pretty good opponent, actually. And same thing with Rolly Romero, decent opponent, but nobody knew who they were before. You know what I mean? You're open. You're making pay-per-views. You're kind of making a mockery of the pay-per-view business, because you're taking on guys. People used to want to see pay-per-view.
Doing that though, like kinda in a way. I mean,
but Jake isn't a boxer, so the people that are gonna order Jake Paul, the people that are gonna order Jake Paul fights they don't care who he fights. You know what I'm saying? That's a different. That's almost like a different dimension. Like that alternate. That it's almost like an alternate dimension that exists there. And you're trying to create that inside of boxing, where Gervonta's getting popular enough where you may be able to create that inside of boxing. But again, then we're back to the original conversation. Is it just an illusion of success, or is it really success? You know what I'm saying? Where you just keep winning, you keep beating guys like this, and now you're like, oh, you look like the big bad guy at 135 pounds. He doesn't even have a real world title, this guy. I mean, when we make Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, it's going to be for no world title. They'll make up that belt means something, but it actually doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And
so do the
I don't know,
rankings
man.
matter? So do the rankings actually matter? Because Ryan's 2 in WBC, and I don't even think he's ranked in the WBA.
Yeah, can you explain that, Paulie?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to us as from an outside point of view.
Like why is he ranked?
Listen, the rankings inside the organizations, they come down to how popular you are. The sanctioning body will start ranking you higher just on how popular you are. Because if you're popular enough, they're gonna move you, and you keep winning, no matter who you're fighting, they'll move you up the ranks fast, because you bring money to the table, and if you bring money, you bring money for them too. Again, I don't know why, I don't see it. I think there's just a lot of hoops to jump through to see Davis and Garcia. And why does, and the media has always gotten on my nerves. They're the the biggest pussies that in the whole business. They never ask the tough questions. Like, why not ask these questions? Why not ask, like, bro, when are you gonna fight somebody, or do you really want to be a boxer, or even Tank Davis? Like, when are you gonna fight somebody that we've actually heard of, and when you're headlining these pay-per-views, why do we have to learn about who your opponents are when you fight them? Why can't we already go into a pay-per-view like where the way it used to be, where a super fighter fought another super fighter, everybody knew who both guys were, and the reason it was a pay-per-view is because both guys were so known and they were head-to-head that you knew it was time to make a pay-per-view. Now, like, you just got you got guys making pay-per-views and fighting random opponents. You know what I mean? Like, but nobody asked that question. Nobody's gonna ask that question because nobody wants to get their credential pulled. So it's all about getting the credential. So you kiss ass. So you're just a professional ass kisser. You're not actually a media guy. You're just a professional ass kisser. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with McGREGOR. Like, when are you gonna ask this guy, bro? You get your ass kicked every single fight. How do you keep making pay-per-views, bro? How do you do that? You know what I mean? Like, the only thing we see is you getting your ass kicked every time you fight. Why are you still on pay-per-view? You know, and let him answer. Listen, he can say, I sell. He can answer the question, no problem. But end of the day, it's still your job as a media guy to ask those questions. And nobody wants to ask those kind of questions anymore to any of these people.
I think they'd ask that to McGREGOR, right? He's always been kind of.
Hell no,
I'm not
they
defending.
wouldn't.
I mean, as media won't. But
That's a McGREGOR.
It's the same reason.
One guy, I think one guy asked it. One guy, bro. Consider how many guys are in McGregor press conferences. One guy in the last few years said the last time you want to fight, I think it was the Obama White House or something like that, like or something like that, like
Cowboy.
something to that.
Yeah, it was
Cowboy.
Cowboy. Yeah, I mean, does that really count? Does that really count, bro? If I go down the street and get the guy who makes my bagels, that's Cowboy for me too. You know what I mean? Like, does that really count?
He knocked him out with his shoulder. Like.
I mean, come on, bro. That guy didn't even want to fight, bro. I mean, when you know, seriously. You know what I mean? The guy, if I get the guy who makes, I'm gonna go after we're done here and go get a bagel, and that guy is a tougher fight than Cowboy was in that fight. Please, bro. If you show up like that, you shouldn't be whatever, bro. But regardless, it's still even if we credit him with that win, it's one win in what 6 years, bro. Well, you know, you gotta ask that question. You as a media person, you have to ask that question. You have to ask the questions of a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So it's
so the rankings are based on popularity, and that's kind of what fights are now: is money, popularity, and
yeah, exactly. So what's success then? Is it's clicks, it's money, or was it what it used to be? What sports came down to, which is best against the best, and can you beat the best? You know, like that's or even your desire to fight the best ranked you among the best because you had a desire to fight the best. You know what I'm saying? I've got guys that, you know, I see on my social media, they write like, you can't, why do you rank Lomachenko so high? He's got 2 losses and he only got in 18 fights. Bro, he's also the fastest fighter to reach world titles in 3 different weight classes. What are we fucking kidding each other? Like, should I have to explain that to a fight fan? You know what I mean? Like, so the people are only subscribing to the notion of undefeated, perception of being good and successful. All of it is just perception as opposed to reality. And I guess perception is reality, right? I mean, that's how the saying goes. So you've created this different perception. But and again, I'll go back to it. The only reason you can create this kind of perception as a reality is if the generation that's watching is stupid enough to believe it. And we are living in the all-time stupidest generation in human race, let alone in sports history. And unfortunately, that's what we have. It's that easy to fool them. But then the people like me suffer out on it because I'm thinking above the scale over here of intelligence, and I'm missing out on a good show, on good fights because too many morons are accepting this trash. You know what I mean? And defending this trash, and so that they're able to keep making this trash as opposed to forcing the better fights. You know, the fights everybody would enjoy.
And I mean, that's just an issue with boxing, right? I mean,
I don't think it's unique to boxing
because the UFC.
I think it's an issue. No, I think it's an issue with the generation first because any business will always sell you what you're stupid enough to buy, right? That's how it is. You know what I mean? So it comes down to the business a little bit, yes, but it comes down to the stupidity, the dumbassness of the generation first. You know what I mean? Of the fans first, because if you're not that stupid to buy it, you're gonna force them to give you better product. But because you're stupid enough to buy it, they're never gonna give you a better product because for them, they keep winning, putting their product less and less at risk while they keep winning. And all you care about is seeing the guy you're a fan of winning instead of seeing the guy you're a fan of fighting the best. You just want to see him win as if you get a piece of that win or something, as if that guy winning should make you sleep better at night, or if you get an extra check in the mail because that guy won. That guy should be your favorite fighter, like when Arturo Gatti was fighting. He was everybody's favorite fighter because he fought everybody and he just wanted to fight hard against everybody and he gave everybody entertainment. Now, people don't care if you fight the guy who makes you the sandwiches. As long as he's winning, they're happy because they're a fan of the guy. Where did this come into play? Again, it's the stupidity of the generation. Fans just demand the best fights. Now they just demand that their guy wins. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we fight. They'll still buy it. We just want to see him win, and then we're happy. It's a good night when our guy wins. And bro, for me, that's kind of a beta worshipy type of mentality, as opposed to a fan of a sport kind of mentality. Because a fan of a sport wants to see the best, and the best matchup and the best thing for the sport, not the best thing for the guy they're a fan of. Why are you even a fan of the guy? Is he fighting the best? You know what I mean?
All right. Well, let me take you. I mean, my fantasy fight. I mean, let's transport. I mean, time travel to you honestly just you versus Ryan at 140. I want to see how you would approach that fight. How would you approach Ryan, basically?
I don't know. I mean, I'd approach him the way I approach every fight. Coming out, boxing, jab first, being busy. I probably wouldn't take a lot of chances against Ryan. I'd force him to, see if he can open me up a little bit, which is kind of what I did with everybody. If I could beat you with the jab and beat you with a different rhythm of jabs, then I would just stick with that and keep it simple. If he would be able to, force me to have to bring other things out of my arsenal and make me uncomfortable, then yeah, it could be difficult. But right now, I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen enough of Ryan besides some power, we haven't seen enough of Ryan to have the different levels, the different dimensions, the different adjustments that he'd be able to make. So that would be my approach to him. I don't think he's got the fastest feet. So just a little bit of range change. He's probably taller than me, so a little bit of range changing and mixing speed on the jabs and off the feints and whatnot. That's why I would have fought him. And then see if he can make that adjustment. Honestly, in comparison to the opposition he's fought, me at 140 pounds would probably be the best opponent he's faced so far. If that would be the case, he hasn't faced a very high level of opposition. Yeah. Luke Campbell was a very good fighter, though. I'd say that's a solid win. Luke Campbell is an underrated win.
You're saying that because you went 12 with Loma.
No, I'm saying that because I can see in his style itself. I can watch a guy and tell you if he can fight or not. 12 with Loma is totally, that's more like on paper. That's on paper stuff. But I look at the way a guy fights, what he shows you, the dimensions, his versatility, and things like that, and I'll give it to you. Ryan, and because of that, I do think Ryan is a good fighter, and there's potential there for growth. But it's just he's got to want it more, and he's got to want it more than I want it for him. That's for sure. You know what I mean? Like nobody's gonna want it more for you than you're gonna want it for yourself.
So how do you think Ryan plays this fight?
I think it's going to be a little bit of an awkward fight. I don't think Fortuna gives you a lot, and then all of a sudden he just kind of throws some awkward shots. I don't think it's not a great fight in terms of looking good. I feel like he may stop Fortuna, but he also may get criticized for the performance. Fortuna's not an easy guy to look good against, but I also think Ryan isn't the guy to get beat by Fortuna either. Fortuna will randomly upset you and beat you and give you a lot of trouble because of his awkwardness. But I do think that ultimately this is a win Ryan probably gets. I just don't know that he looks good doing it, and he's going to get kind of criticized for it. But I don't think Fortuna's an easy guy to look good against for anybody.
Hey, piggybacking off that, Paulie, I don't know if you know this, but the odds right now for Ryan are minus 650 with Fortuna at plus 480. Now, minus 650, that's a lot.
I was just saying for Tago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, because boxing odds also take into account the fact that one guy will never get a decision anyway, even if it goes a distance.
Yeah.
So you're taking those odds.
Do you think minus 650 is fair?
It's fair because Fortuna, even if he wins a fight on points, will get robbed. Okay. So he'll never get the decision. So you take that into account. So you're looking at it now. Fortuna has to win by knockout in order to win the fight. I can remember me versus Broner, for example. Broner was 11-1 favorite, and I was like, how is this normal? Like I was betting myself in all kinds of ways, But then ultimately, when the decision came. Yeah. But ultimately, when the decision came, I realized I learned why he was 11-1 because he was never going to lose that decision. The WBA actually sent the world title, his copy of the belt already there. Well, usually Yeah, so I learned something that night too, and also about the odds. So whenever you're looking at a boxing odds and a boxing betting a boxing odds, you also have to keep into consideration not just the two styles of the fighters and how live one guy is against the other because of the styles, but also at the fact that where do the boxing politics lie here? Can one guy get a decision against the other? And sometimes it actually plays out. I remember I picked Bebo to get robbed against Canelo. I thought Bebo would beat Canelo and not get a decision, just like a couple of other guys I thought Canelo had gotten. But on that night, Bebo did get a decision. So sometimes the politics do steer the other way, but and they'll be fair to a degree. But for the most part, those odds are there because one guy usually can't get a decision against the other guy, no matter what.
And Ryan's at Staples too. Which
Hometown.
Golden Boy is literally at
so he's home. Yes, exactly. He's home, and all that. That also comes into play, of course.
I think this is his homecoming. Where did he fight? He fought in Dallas in April. So yeah, he hasn't been in LA in a second. He's from Victorville.
It was in Dallas.
It was in Texas. I think it might have been San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah. Arlington.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I forget. Those are in Chicago. But you guys got anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Paulie, we're talking about Ryan and his social media impact in this fight, especially how you think it's pretty much a given that he's gonna win, even if it goes all 12. If you're Ryan's promoter and in his camp, what's the next best fight that you would set up for him?
We talked about that with Oscar. He said he
I feel like you got to kind of rush him into a money fight. I feel like you got to. I feel like Ryan is getting to the reputation where he could just tomorrow pick up and do anything. He also, like I said, he could become an astronaut. He could become a model. He could become a traveling reality show guy. He could become a mental health critic again or activist again. He could become any of these things. And all of a sudden, you don't have a fighter on your hands for a while. And your investment is on pause again. So I think you have to chase bigger fights quickly.
And you mentioned on the Pro Box TV podcast that he was with Damian Lillard. He could do anything he wants.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. He's making solid bank doing that. So if you're judging it by money-wise, then he's probably going to want to protect his money, and I don't see him wanting to risk that much because all of this comes together because he's an undefeated boxer as well. That's the centerpiece. And then all the other stuff comes together. He gives an image, a perception that he's something bigger than what he actually is. And I'm not saying he's a bad fighter because, like I said, for me, I thought he was actually the best of the bunch at one time. He just didn't show the hunger for me to keep convincing me. But you can give the perception of being what you're not, and that's all you have to do these days. And especially with social media, he's getting commercials with Gatorade with Dame Lillard, which is a bona fide NBA superstar with a boxer whose opposition level is barely above a prospect.
And speaking of the NBA and this whole social media narrative that we're talking about, would you agree with me, Paulie, that all of sports has become more about the story and the narrative and what becomes what's talked
even
about
the
on
athletes.
Twitter. Exactly. What's talked about on Twitter afterwards more than the actual sport itself.
Yeah, even the athletes, man. There's no love affair with the fans anymore, man. It's just about how they can talk about how much money they got.
Right?
Yeah. It's just like I feel like Jordan had a love affair with Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like certain players had love affairs with their city. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like, even and I don't watch a lot of NBA, but I hear like the Durant and Irving want to leave Brooklyn now. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you come as a package deal? You know what I'm saying? You just come together and you leave together. Like, he's like a traveling circus. You know what I'm saying? You just go and come and go, and like everybody just calls each other and let's just all join this team now. It's like, I don't know, bro. It's like there's no love affair with any city. Even LeBron, like when he went back to Cleveland and won a title, like that Cleveland, we did it. Like it was sounded so fake. Yeah, but I feel like he was trying to cry, but he just couldn't do it because he didn't care. You know what I mean? Because of course, bro. You didn't stay there and win a title. You left for Miami. You made a bunch. You created like a star team, and you came back to Cleveland and gave him a title, and you left, and then you left again, no less. So there's no love affair there. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's no love affair with.
He's from Akron. Come on, he's from Ohio.
What do you want me to tell you, bro? He should have stayed then. If he's from Akron, he should have stayed in Akron. He should have stayed there.
I totally Definitely.
Talking about the decision 12 years
1000%.
later.
Yeah. But Rick, what I'm saying is, there's no love affair with the fans anymore like that, and the fans have sort of this become like a major space, like it's become like a worshipy thing more so than a love affair with the fan and the athlete kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's gotten kind of weird because before with the love affair with the city, with the fans, there was a genuine love. Now it's like these fans just support these fighters because they win. It doesn't matter who they win against. They just win. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, you can fight the guy who makes me the sandwich or the bagel. If you're winning, I'm a fan of you. You know what I'm saying? Because you've created enough of a social media buzz to do that, So I don't know, but I'll never understand it. It's why I kind of don't hang with the mainstream and don't really
Hang with
know.
us in
Like I said,
Santa Monica, LA to be
yeah. I mean, this is why this is why I didn't know about that New York Jets thing rumor until you keep me up to date. It's funny because I can remember in 2006 when I fought Miguel Cotto, and I was sponsored by Dipset, the Dipset, the rappers, Cameron and Joel Santana and all those guys, And if you watch that fight, on the back of my jacket when I go in the ring, it has a Dipset logo because they were sponsoring me. They paid for my training camp and they did a few things for me, And Cameron was actually my trainer's uncle, Billy Giles. Billy Giles was my trainer for the fight at that time in my career, and Cameron was his uncle. And I can remember being in Cameron's office, and Cameron actually told me, he goes, and Cameron was 28 at the time, so a lot younger than I am now. And Cameron goes, and I was about 25 or 24 when I first met Cameron, so maybe about 24.
Cameron the rapper, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Cameron the rapper, yeah.
Hey, Ma, come on.
Yeah, hey, Ma, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe does this generation know him anymore?
Anybody in my generation that doesn't know Cameron probably needs to kick rocks.
So I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, in my generation, it was a big deal. So yeah, it was actually Hey Ma. So I don't remember, but I remember him telling me, he's 28 and he's already like kind of out of that street life and out of that mainstream, and he's kind of saying to me, he keeps young guys on the street, keeping him up to date on what's hot so that he knows what to rap about. You know what I'm saying? Like words and phrases. And at that time he was, I'm talking about at that time. This is about 2005, But nonetheless, you made me think of that when you said, don't worry, because I didn't know about the Jets. I didn't know about anything. And you said you hang out with use. Well, use it like that for me. Use keep me up to date on pop culture because I don't know shit about it anymore.
I guess Zach Wilson channeled his inner Hey Ma though. Huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
And you're not really on Twitter too. You're not reading tweets anymore, right?
Nah, I can't, because, bro, who wants to get canceled these days? You know what I'm saying? Everything I do, we can't, I can't be tweeting myself. I'm going to start arguing with everybody. Twitter's dangerous, bro. Twitter's dangerous. If you're a mouthy person, Twitter's dangerous.
Just ask Donald Trump.
Yeah. Bro, you know what's funny? Somebody sent me. Remember, you remember the old Dos Equis commercials? Dos Equis beer, the Dos Equis guy.
Most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
Bro, I was looking. Somebody sent me a few of them, just as a goof, as a laugh, and I was watching them, and I'm like, bro, these would never be allowed today. No. Like, he's like extreme manhood, or like extreme, like I was like, wow, even these wouldn't be allowed. And these were so fun. We used to laugh at these, and I remember thinking to myself, like I used to crack up at these commercials. How can you watch these commercials and get mad? But if you actually play them today, there will be a percentage of the population that will get angry at this. You got to be a miserable human being to get mad at that. Those were so funny. Those were hilarious, but yeah.
We live in
again, change of generation.
Yeah, we live in sensitive times, Paulie.
That's putting it mildly.
Sensitive times.
yeah. You've got it rough over there.
Well,
but
speaking of sensitive subjects, Ryan Hong, do you know who that is? He has some good questions.
Yeah, he does have some good questions.
He's saying,
okay.
All right, first one. Do you see the fight Ryan versus Fortuna going more than 7.5? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. You know what? On a hunch, I'm going to say no. But I know he's trying to get my pick till he can bet it, probably. But I'm trying to say no. I'm thinking no because I don't like the way Fortuna was in the Granados fight. I felt like he kind of looked for a way out of that. And I think if he can get out of a fight gently, he will. But he'll make it tough while he's in there. But I just think he'll. I think the first sign of he's at the point in his career where the first sign of negativity. I don't think he's going to give much resistance anymore. He'll just be awkward if he can, and if the awkwardness can make him survive, he will do that. But I just don't know if the awkwardness is going to be enough at a certain point.
And his second question to follow up that was, who do you think has a higher body fat percentage rate, Peter Cards or Tyson the dog?
Who was the first one?
Peter Cards or Tyson the dog?
Oh man, you know what? They've both kind of lost weight recently, bro. It's the summer months, you know. They're both trying to get their they're trying to get their beach bodies. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's a close one. It's a close one. I'm gonna say Peter Cards for a little bit. I'm gonna say Peter Cards.
Okay, and we got Daniel chiming in. Damn, Rancho just came in with the word Jessica.
My guess is good as his.
What I was gonna say was, what do you think of Joe Goosen?
I think he was a good trainer. I think he's very, very intelligent. I can remember him even in the corner. I always liked to watch him because he was very calm. He made his direct points, and they were direct and they weren't confusing. And he always knew, when you came back to the corner, I always noticed he was the guy who knew what he was going to tell you, and he understood what was happening very, very well, and understood how to give you those instructions in a simplified yet very clear manner. You know, and I always liked that. And sometimes, like it was when Corrales kept losing his mouthpiece, and then right before he knocked out Castillo, when they took him back to the corner and he's washing Corrales' mouthpiece. Sometimes Goosen was just as simple as, you better fucking get him now. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, you know, because Goosen was very astute and very smart in a lot of the ways he delivered his information. But sometimes he also knew when he had to keep it simple and even more direct and just throw out all that extra mumbo jumbo, you know? So I like Joe Goosen a lot. And I think he's a smart guy. Plus, he always had a unique fashion style in the corner. Which I like.
I was gonna say. I mean, he's got the most swag out of any trainer I've seen.
He was always with the hair combed very nicely, and always wearing the Hawaiian button-down shirts.
I mean, and Reynoso, he's just eating enchiladas with Canelo. Like, is that what's going on with Reynoso? I mean, do you think that was a good switch? You think having somebody who's focused, like Joe Goosen now, like Ryan Garcia is his guy?
Oh, in terms of Ryan, yeah, maybe, you know. I heard Ryan's. Listen, I heard Ryan's Spanish isn't great anyway. So I mean, I don't know what he was doing Reynoso to begin with in terms of that. But yeah, I think Joe could be a more direct guy, a better fit for Ryan in that regard. First and foremost on the language basis. But I think Reynoso's a good trainer, and I think Joe Goosen's a good trainer. I didn't even realize the question was about comparing them. But yes, in that regard, it certainly helps with the language barrier. That's for sure.
And Ryan doesn't speak Spanish, does he?
No, not very good.
I heard he doesn't.
I mean, does he have what we're talking about? Like he's from Victorville, which if you don't know is like it's the desert. It's the central. It's the central of the desert. Yeah. But he's Mexican American, and do you see that style? Does he still have the Mexican style to you? Like I can't. I'm too much of a casual to really be able to see that.
I don't know. He doesn't come off to me like a Mexican, but he comes off to me as a guy who knows how to fight. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I feel like style wise, you know, listen, boxing style wise, there's a little bit of Oscar type of body physique in him. But I think Oscar was better. But he's got a speed base, which was Oscar's speed power base, you know. I don't know. I felt like when you heard Oscar speak, you could hear the East LA in him, even if he's talked proper. Ryan doesn't sound to me like a Mexican American. You know what I'm saying? Like his accent does not sound to me like he's Mexican American. And granted, we're losing all our accents because globalization is happening, and we're losing all the accents, including in New York and whatnot. But Ryan Garcia does not sound to me like a California Mexican fighter. If I wouldn't see him and I would just hear him on audio, the way he speaks English doesn't come off to me in that. Like, granted, I guess he's not from East LA, so it didn't sound.
He's from Victorville.
Yeah, not even machismo, bro. There's a certain accent they spoke with, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a Bensonhurst accent. There was an LA Mexican, LA Chicano accent, bro. Ryan doesn't speak that way. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, the Italian New Yorkers of this generation don't really speak like me either. So the accents are disappearing. But so for me, you know, I don't know how much relation you give him to the whole Mexican thing. I feel like he's just a social media guy who can fight, and if he wants to fight and chooses to fight, he probably has a possibility of having a lot of success. But to market him as Mexican, yes, he's Mexican blooded, but he doesn't. I don't feel like he sells himself in that way in any way, shape, or form at all. I mean, I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see him even see him trying. I don't even see him trying to tell you the truth. So he doesn't even have the pride himself.
I say he's 23. That's how I put it.
Yeah, he's young.
He's 23. I mean, not saying he's 23.
Bro, get out of here, bro. Are you kidding me?
Gen Z 23.
Get out of here, bro.
Gen Z 23.
Bro, you knew I was an Italian American. You knew I was an Italian American from Brooklyn when I was 23, bro. No shot. I mean, that's when you're actually. That's when you sell. That's when you're selling it the most. Because all you have is image at that point.
Modelo commercial too.
Yeah,
he has a Modelo commercial too. So he's cashing in on
He
that.
might have a Modelo commercial. Again, but that's what I'm saying. You're trying to sell this Mexican portion of him, and even giving the Modelo commercial. Why? Because he's Mexican blooded, but he doesn't. It doesn't sell. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
I would take.
Doesn't go. I don't know.
That's what makes a lion.
Right now.
I don't know, bro. I don't know, but for me, he doesn't. When I hear him speak, he doesn't sound to me like like I said. I mean, it was those fighters from those California, Mexican American Chicano fighters. They, you knew, like, you didn't have to even see them. If you heard them like on an audio, you knew it was them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but based on their accent, he doesn't have that accent.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of different comments. I don't know if I should read them out loud, but they're calling him Ryan. I'm not gonna read some of these, but here we're wrapping up. We got like 5 minutes left. We've been on for almost an hour now, Paulie. We appreciate it. How's everything good in Brooklyn? Peter's good. Tyson good.
Everybody's good. Everybody's great. Yeah.
Everybody's good.
Everybody's chilled.
Yeah. You going back to Tampa?
Florida's great. Brooklyn's great. Everybody's great.
And you got Pro Box. When's that next fight?
We just had the Pro Box. We just had the Pro Box date. We just had Cesar Francis against Ray Beltran. It was a good fight, good card. Our next one is on August the 5th. We have the semifinals of the Last Chance tournament. The Last Chance tournament is actually pretty good. We've had it's basically guys who were prospects at one time, kind of fell off, but still have decent records. And instead of going into the opponent stage of their careers, we just kind of got a bunch of them and made them fight against each other. So they're still hungry, still have good records, but they're not undefeated. They have a few losses, but they still have respectable records. And these guys are hungry because they realize they're not getting called at last minute. They're not like they would be now from now on in their careers. They have a chance to win this tournament and actually make themselves, get ahead. So we'll see. So it's a $199. Go to ProBoxTV.com. All right, guys. I'm not trying to sell you, but I am trying to sell you because it's an old boxing channel. No, but really, really, it's an old boxing channel. It's an old boxing channel for $1.99 a month. I mean, bro, you skip a cup of coffee one day and you can afford Pro Box TV one day a month. Don't have your cup of coffee and you can afford Pro Box TV because it really and go to ProBoxTV.com because I don't know if the App Store has these yet or whatnot, but go to ProBoxTV.com and order from there. And you get all the content. You get us. You'll get us with no commercials on the Pro Box TV podcast with me, Roy Antonio. Actually, last week is funny. Last week, Juan Manuel Marquez was in Mexico, so I had to fill in for him in Spanish. So I didn't do the English one. I did the Spanish broadcast.
How was that?
Last week. It was good for the Francis versus Beltran fight.
I mean, you have to do that. I mean, you've been doing that Spanish podcast. I mean,
I
feel like you've been brushing up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm improving my Spanish little by little. I'm on that podcast in English and Spanish. Sometimes, bro, there's still some accents. It's still some accents in Spanish where when they start talking fast and they start like shortening their words, they still confused. Like, bro, if you hear Cubans talk like really fast Spanish, like I gotta tell them to slow down. Yo, slow down.
Have you seen,
Like suave.
I sent you that Instagram post of Beetlejuice. Is he Italian?
B might be an honorary Italian. You see that, bro? He made him. I mean, he made himself an honorary Italian based on that post. But we'll take him. Beats like a cousine, a cousin.
A paisan.
He was an overcovered cop. That's what he's saying. Wait, what's a paisan? What's a paisan?
Yeah, what was he? He was an undercover cop?
He was an overcover cop.
Overcover cop. All right. That's cool. Overcover. All right, that's cool.
I found this thing. He said he was Italian, and then I posted today on the shorts. I said, "Is he the best?" I mean, where'd you rank him amongst Italian boxers of your generation? Top 3, right?
I mean, he's got to go up there as well. Being that he's an honorary Italian, we take him because he was actually that good. So because he was that good, when we put him on the list. Now we can't disrespect him and then not rank him high. So he's up there. He's among the highest ranked.
I mean, 50-0 with 53 knockouts. It's pretty legit.
Yeah, no, 15-0 with 73
You guys
knockouts.
seen him speak
There we
Spanish?
go.
Have you guys seen that clip of him speaking Spanish on the stream?
Yeah.
Oh, he said he's Puerto
Yeah,
Rican too.
He's multilingual. Depending on what day he wakes up, he's a different nationality.
I love that for him.
And why hasn't he fought Devin yet?
Who?
Beetlejuice. Why?
Beat?
Yeah.
I don't know. Devin be ducking some guys, bro, and Beat
That's
is
facts.
he just won the undisputed title. Let him live a little bit. You don't want to put him in tough right away and have him fight Beetlejuice.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're at 55 minutes. Clint, you got anything?
Nah, man, that's good, man. Paulie, it's always a pleasure, my G.
Pasta?
Good stuff, guys.
Austin?
I'm good. I appreciate you taking the time with us, Paulie.
And
Good to catch you.
yeah, we'll catch you next week after we'll see what happens with Ryan. Your prediction now.
Yep.
Come on.
My prediction now. Well, I'm kind of stuck on the 7.5. So I'm gonna say Ryan 6-round stoppage.
Ryan 6-round stoppage.
6-round
Pasta.
stoppage.
What do you think?
I got Ryan. I got Ryan in a decision.
Ryan in the decision. Clint?
I got Ryan in decision as well, honestly.
Ryan's 2nd round KO.
No way.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a bold.
Christ.
Because if he does, I look fucking sick.
Jimmy lays down the gauntlet. Wow. All right, let's do it.
Always has. Always has.
Let's do it. I mean, if I'm right, I'm right. I'm gonna clip that, and yeah, let's go. I'm excited for Saturday. I wish I was going, but I mean,
Yeah.
Staples, crypto.com.
Crypto.com.
Yeah.
Staples. Don't call it crypto.
Yeah,
Don't do
I'll
that.
call it Staples.
For the
Speaking of
culture.
Staples, Kobe right behind me. We're in LA to BK.
LA to BK,
LA to
everybody.
Actually,
BK,
LA to
baby.
BK, not LA to TB, but I'm with FLOYD Malnaji. I'm James Reynolds, Clinton Pasta. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.
Love you. Take care.
You too, G.
Order Pro Box TV.